You are tuned to Kenneth Zenith Cablevision. Thank you for watching. It's time for talk. Each evening at this time, Monday through Friday, Rosemary interviews local personalities and others who bring items of interest to this community. Time for Talk is a community betterment service designed to cooperate with our local community betterment program. Tonight, Rosemary takes us by means of portable camera out of our studios and maybe into your neighborhood. And now, it's time for Talk.
Well, one of the great things about this time of year is that there's lots of baby bird nests up there, which is a great draw for one of the most common large snakes in this part of the country, and that's the black rat snake, Elaphia obsoleta. And he is just really testing the air right now. That tongue is going. He's just testing the air, trying to smell what he can smell. Occasionally he'll flick that tongue out to test the air. Incredibly sensitive sense of smell with that. And they have an organ inside their head, and they pull air molecules back in with that tongue, and it tells them what they want to know. He's slightly worried about us right now, but these critters are great swimmers, and they are wonderful climbers. And just look how he's grabbing onto just the little irregularities in that bark. And he is a lighter phase. He has a lot more brownish color to him. You can see it in the head. As they get older, they get blacker, and they start losing this patterning that they're having right there. So if you catch one that's another year or two older than this, they'll be almost completely black. And their stomach is not round. They're not. If you were to cut them, it's not like a tube. Their stomach is flat on the bottom, and then their back is rounded like this. The rib cage gives them that, and that's what makes them, one thing that makes them very good climbers, is that their stomach is flat and they can conform to that tree. And so if you cross-section a rat snake, he's in cross-section the shape of a loaf of bread, rather than, say, a blue racer, which is going to be round in cross-section. So he would like to get up to this duck box that's up above, and he's probably was going to investigate that to see if there's any juvenile ducks in there. But we already know, don't we, that I think we've already observed the baby ducks to jump out of this nest, and so they've already vacated the premises. So this guy would be also looking for sparrow nests or robin's nests or anything that would have either eggs or young in them. I think it'd be neat to harvest this guy off the tree, and usually the first encounter they have with a human, if it's fairly tame and he's not injured, he's not handled roughly, sometimes they can be wonderful pets, and they can really put up with a lot from you and be very docile. And so we'll try this guy out if I can pull him off this tree, and let's see. He looks like he's going to be nice for us. I'm going to grab him down here. Okay. Come on. Come on. Come on. Good boy. Now I already smell him. He's emitting some musk because he's a little bit nervous about me. But is he not beautiful? Look at that. And if you get just right with the sunlight, you can see iridescent glow off of his scales. Yeah, just like that. Iridescent scales glow just in the sunlight. Sometimes you can catch it just right. And each scale, if you look at those, they each have a strip down the very center of the scale. That's called a keel, like the keel of a boat. And these are called heavily keeled scales. But he's a little nervous, so he's emitting just a little bit of a musky odor that's kind of like a skunk. And a skunk, it's the same type of compound that has a mercapto or sulfur base to it, and that's one of his defense mechanisms. And but he's being quite nice, quite nice. Hopefully he won't think the camera lens is a big mouth trying to eat him up. Isn't that beauty? That is a beauty, and this is what I love about these guys, is they're nice to you. Now, if you try to grab them real hard behind the head and manhandle them, then that can turn them against you, and they'll always react that way to people. He is a beauty.
Tell us how you know if they're poisonous.
Now you see his eye. That's easy, easy, easy. Easy. His eye, the pupil of that eye is round. So, and I know that rat snakes are non-poisonous, but if you're looking for a way to determine, you know, if you get close enough to see a guy like this and his pupil is round, in North America that largely means that they're non-poisonous. Unfortunately, you know, that's not a worldwide trend. Cobras have round pupils, if I'm not mistaken. So you can't apply that across all continents. He's really a beauty. He's still somewhat juvenile to keep this much coloring.
Is there something with the head that lets it know?
Yeah, you know, this head, if you look down on top of his head here, it's not really triangular shaped. It's not really triangular shaped. His head is kind of egg shaped, you know, and but some of your non-poisonous, so a lot of your poisonous ones like water moccasins and all will have a real broad base to their head and comes down to a heavy point. And they've got vertical slits for pupils as well. But this guy's more egg-shaped, more parallel on the sides of his head here. The other thing that you can always know about snakes like this, if you see on the underside right here, see where my fingers are right here? There's a single row. See, there's one row of ventral scales. So on his belly, there's one scale that goes all the way across. You see that? Now, if you get down toward the end of his body, and let me see if I can find that. If you get down toward the end of his body, and let's look at his tail right here. See his tail? There's two. So you get down past the cloaca, which is where he excretes his waste from, the cloaca it's called. There's two rows of postcaudal scales. Two rows. If you're looking at a water moccasin or a poisonous reptile, postcaudal scales, one single row. So you don't have two rows of postcaudal scales. That is back at past the anal port. So without getting a little rough with him, it's hard to tell whether this is a male or a female.
How would you do that?
Well, you can squeeze on either side of the cloaca and you can invert the hemipenes. If it's a male, they have two penises. So I don't know if this will make it past the editors, you know, the censor, but you know, we're all adults here. But anyway, but that's the only way I know to tell, and I'm not the foremost expert. What a guy! He would love to get back to that tree. That feels like somebody's hand. That feels like somebody's hand just giving you a pretty good medium squeeze right there, and that's not even the strongest part of his body. Put your hand right under here.
He's looking at me.
That's all right. Put your hand right under here.
Ooh, dad.
He's all right.
I really don't want him to bite me.
He's got me good.
Ah, doesn't that feel good?
It really, really does.
I just want to tell
Look
you.
out, look out, beauty. What a beauty.
Yeah.
Now this guy he would like to go up. He would like to go up and find a bird nest and eat some baby birds, either the eggs or the young. But you can find these guys coming down out of a tree, and they'll have 3 or 4 big lumps in them.
I've seen that.
And if you threaten them,
If you scare them.
they will come up with those birds in a hurry, and they'll just throw them right back up, because you can't fight or flight when you got 3 or 4 baby birds in your gut. And I really don't know of any other snake that you commonly see on a tree in this part of the country. And I would beg people, if you find one of these guys, do it no harm, because he does more to rid the area around your house of mice than any other single thing, except maybe a cat. This pattern goes away. No, this guy's very gentle. Now, if you catch them and you try to grab them behind the head real hard, and try to manhandle them, sometimes they will defend themselves, and then they're ruined for a good while after that. They don't look favorably upon. Yeah. And if they bite you, it feels like a cat licking you. Have you ever been licked by a cat? Yeah. It's because they don't have any jaw muscles, so they can't clamp down on you and hurt you. It scares the dickens out of you, and it can bring the blood a little bit. These are, just hold him right under here, and let him get on your hand right there. Perfect. Yeah, just support his weight. Mm-hmm. You don't want to hold him by the neck and let him dangle, because you can strangle a snake. Yeah, start moving, and just slide your hand up along the back of his body and just keep supporting him. Yeah. He is a beauty. He's a beauty.
You can smell when he puts out that musk at the beginning. You could smell it. Was it pungent?
Yeah, in fact, I hadn't even touched him yet, and I was standing with the breeze blowing this way, and I could smell him. He was just worried. Now, if he gets real upset, it'll come out real copious, slimy, milky looking like that, and sometimes the water snakes will sling their back end and try to sling it on you. Yeah. And their smells really, really bad. These guys are mild compared with that. So when you see this old pattern right here, and he's on a tree, you can mark it down. And that's what you see on the roads, crossing, that are dead, or crossing the road live. It's 9 times out of 10, it's going to be this guy right here. You can feel the scales underneath. Each lip, they overlap, and so underneath like this, that scale will flap open like that, and he can actually use the underlip of that scale to grab on.
And we're watching
Yeah.
Here, Britt, you take him and check.
You want to if you put his head up to the bark right here, then he'll probably just go right on off of you.
Okay.
You have to let him get a purchase point.
Yep.
And he'll start getting real tiny little curve to his body, like this. Yeah, if you listen to it real carefully, you can hear it clicking as those scales hit that bark. And very often, if you got your windows open this time of year, you're sitting outside and you hear the blue jays just making a terrible fuss, and birds will team together. Blue jays and mockingbirds and even grackles, and they'll all team together, and they'll notify you that there's a snake in your yard. And because they do not like those snakes getting in their nest and eating their young.
You have been watching Time for Talk. Time for Talk is a community betterment service designed to cooperate with our local community betterment program. Each evening, Monday through Friday at this time, Rosemary interviews local personalities and others who bring items of interest to this community. Time for Talk is brought to you through the cooperation of Kennett Cablevision Incorporated and is produced through the facilities of the Slicer Street Church. the Holy Scriptures come alive. Coming up next, stay tuned.